to have the chance to present this information this morning to everyone. And I want to give a big greeting to everyone. And as I always like to do when I'm talking to customers, I want to thank you guys for the critical work that you guys do in keeping communications running on mission critical systems. Our job is to make your job easier. We make test equipment, and there goes my business card. It'll be on the screen at the end. We make test equipment. We design, manufacture, service, calibrate test equipment right here in Kilgore, Texas. Some of you may not be familiar with the name Astronics or even Freedom Communication Technologies. I'll cover that in the presentation. Again, my name is Chuck Cox, and I'm a product marketing engineer. I started out as a design engineer, worked in manufacturing engineering, went to field applications engineering because I couldn't stand not being in touch with the customers, making design decisions in a vacuum. So my job now is to kind of liaise between customers and engineering and product management to make sure that we continue to develop products that are easy to use, easy to learn, and help the technician get their job done. So again, the topic is test equipment, and we will go ahead start on the presentation. Now, the presentation is fairly short, and I will entertain any and all questions that you guys have at the end. So please feel free to throw whatever you want at me at the end. Again, I presented this as a tech talk at IWCE. And so this is basically just a brief overview. So some of you out there have been around LMR test for a long time. Some of you maybe are newer, but so those of you who've been around for a while will recognize some of this equipment. And thankfully, we have kind of moved from the left to the right in this slide. But all along, there's been a need to be able to test equipment when it doesn't work, or to test it to make sure it works when it's needed. And so you may have used some of this test equipment right here, so from the older to the newer. Some of you will recognize the picture on the right-hand side as the 2001. And something you guys may not be aware of is that we are the people who brought you the R2001. And I'm not supposed to mention the manufacturer back then, what their name was. But so we've got several people who worked on that product line when, as a matter of fact, some of you may know Doyle Wofford, know the name. He was a tech on the production line and produced the first R2670. And then over time, that product line migrated to another company. And then when that company decided they no longer were interested in pursuing that product line, we formed a new company with investors called Freedom Communication Technologies. And then about a year ago, we became part of the Astronics Test Systems family. So some of you will recognize the 2670B. And then obviously we had radios that were going from analog to digital, and we needed a test equipment that could do digital. And we developed the R8000 platform. I was one of the design engineers on that platform. Over the years, we have continued to improve on the platform. In 2016, we released the R8100, which took a lot of the customer feedback and included it, such as now it had an internal field replaceable lithium-ion battery and a number of usability improvements. And then we released the R8600 in 2017. That's basically the same platform, only packaged without the user interface. It's got a couple of really large heat sinks and fans in the back, which allow you to put 150 watts into it 24/7. So if you're in testing mobile radios for hours on end, you'll never overheat that instrument. If you're in a manufacturing environment or service center, again, it's the same user interface. You just plug in Ethernet port to a computer, and we have something called the remote front panel, which allows you to operate the instrument as if you were sitting in front of it. Oh, I'm sorry, let me go back one slide. If it'll let me. Come on, guys. Hey, the wonders of technology. Excuse me just a second. See what's going on here. Okay, go back. There we go. We've also have a product called Process Automation Toolkit. This is software that runs on your PC that allows you to control the instrument and write scripts. So you now, if a technician can manually test a radio, he can create a script to automate that without having to write any software. We introduced the R9000 platform, which is still under development, which will be LTE capable up to 6 gigahertz. And then just this summer, introduced the R8200, which is again another product in the same platform, which adds a built-in one-port VNA up to 6 gig. So go on to the next slide. Okay, so as I mentioned in the timeline there, we have built a solid foundation in this R8000 series platform with the R8000, which is now up to the R8000C, the 8100, which is uh, geared more towards field, and then the 8600 for manufacturing. On top of all of that, that hardware platform, we have great software solutions. So whether it's P25 protocol, whether it's AutoTune. AutoTune is automated test and alignment of radios, portable and mobile radios. You connect the programming cable from the radio into the instrument. You press a couple of buttons and the whole thing is automated and you get consistent documented test results. We've introduced an avionics option, a positive train control option. This is all software solutions built on this hardware platform. Let's go on to the next slide. On top of that, we also have tools you can use along with the test equipment. We have always offered an API. So if you had someone who could write software, you could integrate this instrument into your automated test environment. The remote front panel allows you to operate the instrument through a network port. So if you have, let's say you're chasing down remote interference at a remote site, you could have the instrument on your network at the site and from your desk monitor and operate the equipment. And then for those who don't have programming skills, we have released this process automation toolkit. And let me put in a quick plug. We have just launched a free webinar on our process automation toolkit. So if you are interested in having your technicians create automation for their testing and save time and money, uh, check me out on LinkedIn and I will post a link to this, or contact me directly and I'll send you a link to that. It'll be up until the end of this month, and there'll be a promo. If you're interested in checking that out, you can save $500. Again, those are tools built on top of this hardware platform. And as I mentioned, we just recently this summer added a new hardware product to the platform. So the RD200 includes a single port VNA, extremely fast, less than 100 microseconds per data point. What that translates into is that you can sweep a very large spectrum very, very fast. You can, it's amazing. You won't find anything out there at this price point like this. It allows you to do near instantaneous return loss, VisWAR, distance default. There's a great video on our YouTube channel demonstrating that, where I demonstrate that with actual cables and filters. Okay, so in summary, really, the R8000 family is a platform of products that is ready to meet your needs in the shop, in the field, in the manufacturing environment, or if you are commissioning sites or verifying sites, or you do infrastructure work. Now you no longer have to carry a service monitor and some form of device to sweep antennas or check out infrastructure. And again, we have a solid um, solid hardware platform that's supported by continually developing tools and software. Firmware upgrades are always free of charge, and all of the optional features can be enabled out in the field. If you're interested, this is the R8000 platform, but the R9000 platform is the one that we are developing right now, which will be capable of broadband, so LTE support. It will also, over time, have all of the functionality of the R8000. One of the big features of this platform, other than the broadband capability, is because of its processing power, it's able to do real-time spectrum analysis across a very wide bandwidth. If you're in the tactical side of things, may not be anybody in that boat, but now that we're part of the Astronics family, there's a product in another division geared specifically towards tactical products. I just wanted to put a plug in for that. So bottom line is, if you are supporting LMR and starting to or looking to having to have test equipment to support you as you go into the broadband side, make sure your test equipment can grow with your needs. Uh, Leveraging the software-defined radio platform, which is what the R8000 is built on, you have an instrument that keeps getting better over time, rather than, the old days, everything was hardware based and your instrument was never any better than when it left the factory. Partner with somebody like us who is just not distracted by other markets. We are only LMR. We only serve LMR. We are completely dedicated to supporting you guys. When you call us, you can talk directly to somebody who has experience. We can even put you directly in touch with engineers if necessary. We're committed to the success of our customers, and we're very responsive to your needs. And you can find out more about us. We don't have a virtual booth here, but here some of the contact. Oh, first of all, if you're interested in our products, go to our website, freedomcte.com/library. You'll find all of our documentation. If you go to /videos, you'll find a bunch of videos, but this will kind of explain our product lineup. Again, videos, product data sheets. If you want to contact one of us in support, our contact information is there. If you're interested to find out who your local sales rep is, we have manufacturers representatives all over the country and international distributors all over the world. Our general email address is freedom.cte, which stands for Communication Test Equipment, @astronics.com. And let me put up my contact info. And if you would like to speak with me or have me direct you somebody who can help you, don't hesitate. So that gives us 5 minutes and I'll entertain any questions. If there aren't any questions, I'm going to ask a few questions just to get the discussion going. But first of all, any questions on anything you've seen? Anybody out there have our instruments and have questions about it? Or anybody out there need test equipment that still needs some answers? Please feel free to unmute yourself or to go into the chat and put a question in there, and I'll be glad to answer your questions. I'm going to give you guys a minute to. So while you're thinking about possible questions, let me ask you this. Do you maintain systems, for example, APCO, you're going to, a lot of you guys are supporting P25. Some of you are on phase one conventional or phase one trunking. Some of you are on phase two. Do you have test equipment that can test your radios and your infrastructure in all of those modes? We have multiple options that support P25. P25 phase one conventional, P25 phase one trunking is a feature that simulates a base station. So if you, like Harris County, Texas, support radios all over the state of Texas on the Texas Wide Area Radio Network, you cannot test the trunking functionality of a radio at a distant site. So our instrument can be loaded up to simulate that site, and you can test that the radio will trunk, verifying that the radio has been programmed properly. We also have a phase two test option, which allows you to do both the inbound and outbound modulation schemes and see your eye diagram, constellation plots, distribution plots, all of this functionality. Did that jog any questions out there?
Chuck, can you hear me?
I sure can, Barry.
Just a lot of our customers are running in situations now where they're having a hard time finding experienced technicians or holding on to experienced technicians as they're getting to retirement age. What kind of things do we do to help customers to be able to get over that lack of technical expertise?
That's a great question. So one of, obviously, as I said earlier, our primary goal is to make your job easier as a maintainer of radio systems. And we understand that this is an ongoing need. We provide free training, whether it be through webinars, through pre-recorded videos, Once some of the travel restrictions are lifted, we'll get back to doing on-site training. We travel with our manufacturers reps, and we'll come out and do, let's say you've got our test equipment and you've get a new technician that's not been trained. We'll be glad to do that. And all of our training is free of charge. We also, with this new tool, the Process Automation Toolkit, you can capture and automate your test using your most senior technician, and then those tests can be run by any one of your technicians. Even someone who is just an installer can be trained to use the test equipment to run scripts to test radios. So you're multiplying, you're in effect cloning your senior tech. Also, the auto-tune functionality can be run by a completely non-technical type person. They select the radio model. As long as they understand how to hook up the programming cable and the test setup is already set up, then they can run boxes of radios through. So anything else that I missed, Barry?
Just some of the presets that we have in there that make it so you don't have to remember all the information that's already built into the equipment, and just select
that's
one
a
of
great
those and
point.
you're ready to run.
Right. So you can save so once you get the instrument set up to do a particular task, you can save it, save that state. And not only can you save it on the instrument, you can export it to a thumb drive. Barry, you want to tell them about our experience with Loudoun County, Virginia?
So they have some 90 schools that they are maintaining their trunked DMR system. And as they go out to all these different sites, there's color-coded cables for each different channel and user. And instead of having to remember all that information, they have 240 presets that are identified by school and color code to make it very easy to drive up to a site, pick out where they are, and all the information is there and ready to make the test. So it makes it easy to go forward without mistakes.
Yeah, no more cheat sheets. No
Right.
having to call somebody and ask them for the information on what the code is, the color code or frequency pair. Any one of their technicians, even the most junior, can write out to a site, pick out the site by name and the presets load in 30 seconds. So the instrument loads up, boots up in a minute and a half, then a preset is loaded in 30 seconds. So within 2 minutes, you're fully able to test your radio systems. I'll put a little plug in for a video we have on YouTube. Actually, it's on YouTube, but it's also, if you go to lmrtest.com, you'll see a video that says, "Don't let your test equipment slow you down." And we compare side by side several pieces of test equipment. So if you or your technicians have to suffer from the "now I'm going to go make a pot of coffee while my instrument boots up" syndrome, check out that video. Anything else? So we're coming up on the end here, but if anybody else has any questions, please feel free to give me a call, email me, find me on LinkedIn. Again, this Process Automation Toolkit webinar is coming up. We've got a great series that we started on P25 testing. You can check that out as well. It's a multi-part series. We just did conventional. In a couple of weeks, we'll do P25 phase 1 trunking. And then after that, we'll do phase 2. We'll do simulcast systems, and then some advanced topics. If we have no further questions, I'll thank everyone for joining me today and turn it back over to you, Carl.
All right. Thank you very much, Chuck. We appreciate that information. So that wraps up the presentation from Freedom Communications. We do have another